nefarious influences that are seeking to influence them, rather than the people of the given locality or the people of the United States.
So the Occupy movement has focused on corporations. They're occupying. They started by occupying Wall Street, and they went on. This movement is now, even in Astoria, there's going to be a protest this Friday. So you're talking about government and how corporations influence that. The movement has been keen to not be protesting government. And so the question is, so do you think that this is going to be effective, and how is this going to play out?
The movement has an ingenuity which is marvelous. I love it. We didn't realize this kind of thing back in the 60s, but see, that was the days of the welfare state, where the government still represent, you know, there were doves in Congress. Find a dove in Congress. The word dove isn't even used anymore. Everybody's on nowadays, in the Democratic Party as well as the Republican. You know, there's Dennis Kucinich, who's a Democratic dove, and Ron Paul is the Republican dove, and who else? Bernie Sanders, I guess, was a socialist. And that's it. But because we thought we had people representing us in Congress in those days. Now, the people know they don't. They know that the corporations are who controls the Congress. So where did they go? Wall Street. Brilliant. And this takes it down. One of the things that we didn't seem to realize in the 60s or during the what has sometimes been called identity politics, the various rights revolutions, which were good, and I support them. All of the different rights revolutions that happened, the African-American civil rights movement, the Latino movement, the gay rights movement, the people with disabilities movement, but the right could play those movements against one another, and they didn't have like a common mass base. And the movement back in the 30s succeeded because it was a labor movement, and labor was a common mass base. Now you got what I used to call, when I was teaching, a mass base of discontent. Everybody has been put out of the system except the 1%. Okay? Michael Moore, I think, dramatized that beautifully at the end of his Capitalism, a Love Story, when he went around. First, he tried to get Lloyd Blankfein, the head of Goldman Sachs, to interview him, and of course Blankfein wouldn't do it, and just acted really nasty, and you know, like, who is this peon who would want to interview me? Get out of here, or I'll have you done in, or whatever. But then he takes some of this crime scene tape that he'd gotten hold of, and he goes all around the Goldman Sachs building with it. And it's as if as if he was being a prophet of what the Occupy movement would ultimately do. The Occupy movement focuses on Wall Street because they know that the powers that be are not political, so they don't march on Washington, they don't go to the Congress. They know that those people are controlled by Wall Street. So they go to Wall Street. And the Occupy movements all over the country, many of them are focused on financial districts. And if they do focus on politicians, it's the economic basis of politics and who the kingpins are, the oligarchs are, the people with the money are that are behind the politicians.
You think they have a chance? Is there a chance that this movement will go somewhere?
I think so, because it's such a big movement. It's big, it's amorphous. There's no doubt that that the state in the Middle East, in the so-called Arab Spring, the movements that were most successful, the military and the police, joined the movements because they recognized they had more in common with the protesters than with the ruling elites. You know, the U.S. has a very powerful, it's got the most powerful military in the world, and we have police that have all been trained in SWAT tactics, and that have their riot gear and so on. It could get very ugly. Different cities have different kinds of police forces. Some are more brutal than others, depending on a whole number of local factors. I don't know. I mean, I can't tell where this movement's going to go. The thing that impresses me about it is how big it is, and what a great realization people have of just, I think that there is this great aha moment in American life today that has not happened in my lifetime. And this aha is, we know who runs the show. And it isn't Barack Obama, and it isn't even Eric Cantor or Paul Ryan or Boehner or Rand Paul or Mitch McConnell. It ain't those guys. It's these relatively faceless men and a few women on Wall Street and in like places around the world who manipulate the finances of the world. And that realization has never occurred to the majority of the American people. They've never seen the economic power that is beneath the political power.
Is there something about the structure of the movement now that you feel is possibly can make this movement successful where other similar movements haven't been?
This movement, more than any other movement I've ever seen in this country, is a genuine uprising of just common people everywhere who are just feeling, as Tom Hartman puts it, screwed. That's the title of a book that he wrote, by the system. And they do for a whole number of reasons. And that's why the movement has this amorphous, leaderless quality to it, because so many Americans, I love these rappers who get in the street and go, we the 99%, that's who we represent, the 99%. And it just has resonance everywhere. Everybody responds to that. They know that they're being screwed by just a handful of manipulators who are the billionaires, who have houses all over the world, who never touch the ground. You know, they fly from their helicopter pad to get in their limousine with the tinted windows that you can't see inside, and they go to their fancy restaurants and their resorts in Switzerland and so on, and they never have contact with the hoi polloi, with the great unwashed. And we've all become the great unwashed. And I think there is this realization in the country today, and that's what I think is behind the leaderless qualities of the movement. And it's good because the powers that be and those who would like to demonize the movement cannot single out a certain group and say, these anarchists or these Black Panthers or whoever. They can't, or any individual even. This is a genuine populist movement. And that's the way the populist movement was in the 1890s. You can't talk about that being the product of one leader. It was the product of conditions where a few people were, as the Hebrew Bible puts it, grinding the faces of the poor by adding field to field.